This is an example of finding an exponential function when we're given 2 points. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down my general formula for finding an exponential function, which is y equals ab to the x power. And I notice I'm given 2 points here. I'm given this, and I'm also given this over here. From each of those, I can create 2 points for the first one. This is obviously my x value. This is my y value, so I have 3.5 comma 25. And for my other one, I have, this is my x value, this is my y value, so I have 8.5 comma 14. I'm going to put each of those into my function over here. I'm going to start with my orange one over here, and that's because I'm noticing that my x is 8.5 and my x on my pink function is 3.5. And what I normally want to do is I want that x to be larger on the top when I'm doing my division, because if the x is larger on the top, that means when I subtract, I'm going to end up with a positive number. So putting it into our equation over here, I'm going to have the y equals abx. So I'm going to put 14 equals, I don't know my a, I don't know my b, but I do know my x, which for the orange function is 8.5. Now I'm going to fill in the values for my pink function, and I have 25 equals a, b to the 3.5. My next step is I'm going to divide these functions. When I do that, I'm going to end up with 14/25 equals, the a's are going to go away, and my b is going to be, again, just off to the side here, my b would be b to the 8.5 minus 3.5, which is going to give me b to the 5th. Continuing on, I have 14/25, and I'm going to divide that, putting it into my calculator, and I'm going to get 0.56 equals b to the 5th. Now at this point, I need to find what b is. So one of the ways I can do that is I could raise each side of my equation to the 5th power. The other way I could have done it is to take each side of my equation, and I can take the 5th root of each of these. Whichever way you're more comfortable entering into your calculator, it will work. So if I put 0.56 to the 5th power into my calculator, I will most likely be doing it this way on most calculators. 0.56, do the little caret sign, and then I'm going to probably do a parentheses, 1 divided by 5 and parentheses, and then enter, and that is going to be 0.56 to the 5th power. If I'm going to be doing it the square root of it, or the 5th root of it, I would end up putting into the calculator something that looks along the lines of a button like this, and I would put my x value in of 0.56 into here, and then for the y value, it is going to be 5 in that case, if you're looking at the calculator. When I put it into my calculator, I end up with a b value of 0.89050755. Now remember, I need to update my function, my original function on top, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to write an exponential function. So I'm going to have y equals, I still don't know my a, but I do know my b now, which is 0.89050755 to the x power. I still am trying to find the a so I can have my general exponential function equation. And what I would like to do is I would like to pick one of my points from the top and plug it in. Either point is going to work. I'm just going to use my orange point. If I use my orange point, I'm going to get 14 because that is my y value over here. And then it's going to be equals. Again, I still don't know my a value. And then I'm going to put 0.89, 0.50, 755, and all of that is going to be to the 8.5 power. And I'm getting that from my original orange equation up at the top. The next thing we want to do is I'm going to want to put this part of my equation into my calculator. When I solve for that in my calculator, I'm going to end up with my 14 equals a to the, and 0.89050755 to the 8.5 power ends up being 0.3731811. And in order to fully solve for a, I'm going to need to divide both sides by that value. So I'm going to divide my 14 by the 0.3731811. And when I put that into the calculator, my value for a becomes 37.51529707. In order to put it into my function, I'm going to have y equals, this is my a value, so I'm going to have y equals 37 point, and the first thing I notice is that my original question was asking me to evaluate it when x is 5.5. and then put that value to the nearest hundred. So I'm not going to want to put my a or my b value to the nearest hundred yet. I'm going to want to keep them in their entirety. So I'm going to have them here, and then that's my a value, and my b value, remember, was the 0.89050. And that is going to be to the 5.5 power. And I'm getting that value because I noticed my original question was asking me to evaluate it at there. When I put those into my calculator, first doing my PEMDAS rule of doing this part first, 0.890507755 to the 5.5 power, and then multiplying by the 37.51529707, my y value comes out to 19.82509237. Now I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredth. Rounding it to nearest hundredth means I'm looking to see what that number is going to be. Rounding it to the nearest hundredth, f of 5.5 gives me 19.83 because of the 5 that's next to it. And that is my final answer.